Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Danville City Commission regular meeting for Monday, November 25th, 2019. The hour is 5:30. I will call us to order. I'll ask that we be led in prayer by Commissioner Denise Terry.
Sorry, I had to pull it up. Please pray with me. We offer you, our Creator, our thanks and praise. You teach us to love without limit. You teach us to forgive without counting the cost. And you teach us to give without seeking return. May we honor you through our words and actions every day and every moment. May we worship you through our lives and others, with others, lived in kindness and tender care. May we fully realize that we came to know you in our thankfulness. True earthly joy resides in you. Your love for us, we find a heavenly harvest that strengthens our soul. Amen.
Amen. Well done. Sammy Young, stand up. Tim Blakemore, stand up. Front and center, gentlemen, lead us in the pledge. You will, of course, stick around, I'm sure. Commission, you have had the agenda, and I assume it meets with your approval. And we'll move right into Hear the Public. This is the public's opportunity to take 3 minutes at the microphone and address any subject that is on tonight's agenda.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Kirshner with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I just wanted to say a few things about the Henson Trail that's on the agenda today, which is a really, really wonderful addition to our community. As you know, we've had the trail along Clark's Run that is at the Michael E. Smith Park. This will take you all the way over to the end of East Main. The trail's beautiful. It feels like you're out in the woods and you're actually just downtown, and takes you out to Henson Pond. And then there's a trail around Henson Pond. It's about 2.5 miles altogether. So my point in all of that is to say thank you, and also to thank you for the pedestrian bridge on 2nd Street. I know we're having a lot of conversations about walkability and making our community more pedestrian friendly, and certain intersections have bigger problems than others, but I do think that the city is making a good commitment to making things more walkable. I met with some Charleston healthcare folks earlier. I guess it would have been late last week. They were happy to have that in their community for the older folks able to walk safely. So there's a lot that's coming, and the investment in that pedestrian bridge, I think, is a real testament. So thank you.
Any questions or comments for Ms. Kirchner?
Oh, sorry.
No.
I didn't think so.
Anyone else? All right, we'll move right along to item number 1, and that is the minutes of 2 previous meetings, November the 12th and November the 13th. Chair will entertain a motion to accept.
I'll offer a motion to accept the minutes of November the 12th and 13th as presented.
Thanks, Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second? Commissioner Cottle, discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Now, where is she? Donna Peak? Come on up here. After 30 years, you finally get a gold watch. On behalf of the city, being commissioners, staff, employees, please accept that for all of your time and energy here. Thank you.
I'm Ron Scott, City Manager. I wanted to say just a couple of words, too, before Donna maybe says a few remarks. I've had the pleasure of knowing and working with Donna since 2011. 30 years is a long time, and in the 11 years that I've worked with her, she has demonstrated a great capacity for being a self-starter, tackling the hard problems that needed to be addressed. It's been a joy to work with her, and she's a model for all of us to emulate in terms of working at the city. I suspect we'll have a difficult time replacing her and finding one of her caliber. She is respected, and I think that was shown by the great turnout of employees last week when we had her staff and community farewell. But Donna, I congratulate you on working with all of us over so many years, and thank you for your service.
I'm not big on speeches. I just want to say thank you. First, to say that I'm blessed that I was able to be here for 30 years and that my husband has put up with me and waited patiently. He retired 12 years ago. And my family that's here tonight, my son, Alan is my brother, and my sister-in-law, Kathy. I appreciate you all being here. It's been a great, like I said, I've been blessed to be here to work with 7 mayors and 6 city managers, and I don't know how many fire chiefs and police chiefs, and seen the staff turn over. But the main thing I would say is I'm so thankful that I've gotten to work with all of the employees. And the other day was just overwhelming to me a little bit that people came out that did. Thank Mayor Bowling for hiring me, because him and Mr. Music started it. So I appreciate that. And all of the people that are the workers here, those are the ones that make your city run, you know, and I can't say that enough, that the employees are your best asset. I love every single one of them. You know, they're worth $1 million, each one of them are. And I hope everybody knows that. I hope everybody realizes that to make things go smoothly in the future. But I just want to say thank you for all that you've done in my time here.
You want this, or you want that?
Donna, before you leave,
Yeah, we have some stuff to say, too. Get up here.
I thought you retired.
Who said that? He's a short timer too. So, you want to go, Mr. Haggins?
yeah, I can go. I just want to say thanks. Donna and I have known each other in and out of city business, and I won't tell you for how long, because you'll be shocked, but it's been a pleasure. And my comment is that wherever you've been and whatever you've been involved in, you've always maintained that high level of professionalism. And so as you leave city government, take that high degree of professionalism with you. You know, we've all made a few mistakes. You've not made any that I'm aware of, so.
I've made mistakes.
Take that degree of professionalism with you always, wherever you go. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I like to say, and I had to write this down because I'd get choked up if I didn't, but Did you know we've known each other 35 years? Which is amazing since I'm only 28. But we worked at Danville Office Equipment together many years ago. And I quickly discovered that you're one of the smartest, most capable, most dedicated, and nicest people I've ever known. We will always be friends, and for that, I will always be grateful. I think it will become quickly evident how much we will miss you and how much less efficient we will be for a while when you're gone. But I would like for you to enjoy your downtime, work on your golf game, spoil your grandkids and Jeff, or vice versa. And who knows, we may see you again sometime. But may you go now with pride and peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said.
Is that it?
Well,
I'd say best wishes to you and thank you for mentoring Ashley, taking over for you. You did a lot of work with that, but we're not going to say goodbye to Donna. We're just going to say hi over at the cheerleading at Parks and Rec. We'll see you there, huh?
Donna, tell us what all you plan on doing with all of your free time.
Uh-oh.
Well, we don't have any free time right now. We have a lot of, taking care of that little man there, trying to walk her. Brittany and Matthew are here. That's his parents. And, like I said before, just take time to relax a little bit. We want to golf, go see some things, take care of family and, our moms, his mom, my mom, take a little bit care of them because they've done for us. So if they need something, we need to give back to them. And who knows? I don't know what else. But that's just, and then we have grandkids. We have a bunch and some more on the way. And so we're excited about all that. Yeah.
Sounds like you're going to be
And
busy.
golf.
And golf. And golf.
it's
And-
difficult to follow Commissioner Cottle's remarks, but of course, we're ready to put you on a committee whenever you're ready.
Oh, I've got that. I've gotten that taken care of.
I was thinking today, how many times people walk in there and say, "Where's Donna?" And I'm one of those. And I hope you left your lint brush for me. And my husband wanted to know if you left your candy jar. But we appreciate everything you've done. And I know I sent Donna a text message Friday morning, and I said, I hope you're putting your feet up and relaxing, but I know you're not. And she responded with, no, she was not. But you'll get there and enjoy those kids and grandkids and your husband. And this is not goodbye. We'll see you later. And we'll try not to call you.
I love the city.
I know.
It's been good to me. So
Don't forget golf.
I won't forget golf.
Mayor, can I say something as well?
Sure.
In my role, I get the privilege of working with a small number of city employees and, of course, your distinguished colleagues on a regular basis. But when I first began as a wide-eyed, eager counsel to the city, I can't tell you the manner in which Donna took me under her wing to make me feel comfortable, valued, safe, gave me the chance to lead in the manner in which I wanted to, without providing too much direction, but that safety net. I think Donna's impact and legacy can't be understated. I don't think the community can fully appreciate, or nor can they understand the impact that she has had on now hundreds of city employees. What Donna was for me, I'm confident she was for every employee within the city. All the good adjectives, Donna is. She's a champion for the employee. She was a champion for me. She's cooperative. She's got a team attitude, positive attitude. She's distinguished. She's professional. She's committed and fiercely loyal to the city and all of its employees. There's none better than Donna Peak, and she is the true North Star of your staff. So, job well done. We love you, miss working with you, but we know we'll see you around. God bless you.
Yeah.
Should probably send Jeff back.
Item 3, Sammy Young, front and center. Chief,
Yes, sir.
when it comes to colorful characters, here's a good one right here.
Yes, he is.
I'll let you say whatever you wish
All
to
right.
say.
Well, Sammy, I know you've known you since you started here. I think it was back probably 2000. Somewhere in thereabouts.
Yeah.
20 years. Long time, good times, right?
Yes.
Well, sorry. I don't have anything too colorful to tell, but I do know my colleague does. So
Imagine that.
I am going to pass it off to my deputy.
I'll be easy on you, Sammy.
I appreciate it.
Be first
I
time.
just want to tell a story about one night. It's been a few years ago, but we had a house fire, and it was about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm coming from home. I get there right behind the truck, and a police officer comes running up to me. He said, "Man, Sammy's hurt bad." And I'm like, "Oh, shoot, what's going on?" You know, that's the worst. That's the last thing you want to hear. Well, I take off from my truck, get my clothes on as I go. And I go around the truck, and I look, and there's Sammy at the pump panel at the side of the truck. And he's got blood just gushing down the side of his face. And
Wasn't too funny then, was it, Sammy? You guys on the fire chief are y'all tough.
And I was relieved to see that. I knew immediately what had happened. It's nothing that's not uncommon in the fire service. But I said, "You catch a coupling, Sammy?" And he said, "I did." And I said, I don't know who's human resources where Donna went now, but she'll probably squeal." And I said, "We start getting this thing under control, get some help in here." I said, "Then we'll take you and get you stitched up." He said, "I'm fine, let's go." So, I just want to point that story out. I mean, it's a bad deal. And what happened when you pull the hose off the truck, there's some big metal couplings on there, and he'd caught one in the side of his head there, and it happens. But that just shows the heart and the dedication that he served with. And also, whenever you call back, whenever we have a large fire and do second alarms, he's one of the first ones to always show back up. And that just speaks words of the dedication and the heart and that he served with. And man, we're going to miss him. And we're going to miss the Sammyisms also. Mm-hmm. But man, we're just losing a great guy.
I don't know what to really say. Over the last 20 years, it seems just kind of flew by and stuff. I know Donna's been here for 30 and stuff, and it's just amazing that I'm able to stand up here and just be honored and stuff. And it is the honor to look out to the public and stuff that I protect for the last 20 years and stuff. And over the years, all my coworkers who's standing behind there and stuff, I made a lot of good friends, and I might not get to see them every third day, but I know they're just a phone call away, and throughout my life and stuff, I always took care of people, and people ask me what I'm going to do. I just really don't know. I just know I'm going to take it easy, spend more time with my family. My son and my father-in-law's here with me tonight and stuff, but like I said, I just want to say it was an honor to do what I did for the 20 years I did it in. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sammy, it's with pleasure that I present this, and yet it's with a great deal of sadness, because the idea of you with a knife this big. Where's Sammy's family? Raise your hand. Somebody please get this as soon as you possibly can. Sammy, Have at it, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another guinea pig.
Ooh, they're loaded for you, pal. Who's first, gentlemen?
I'll take it. Tim? I want to look this way. Yeah. Both of you.
Here, you come up here, Tim. Get up here.
This is the roast.
That's right, that's right.
You've been around a while. You about 2000, I believe, 99, 2000. Yeah, part-time too, coming on, working hard. And unfortunately, you had an accident, and we've been out of service for a while. But your time has now come, and you can say, I'm done. Right? I don't have too many colorful stories. I don't know about this guy. He may or may not have a colorful story.
I do, but I will not tell them here.
How about later?
No, I was fortunate enough, Tim and I came on about the same time. Our careers kind of mirrored each other's. And he was always the voice of reason to me, because I get wound up sometimes. And
Really? Really?
and he was always a voice of reason, though. He would always bring me down or say something that really calmed me down. And I think a lot of the times his voice of reason was just to make me even madder. So, but over that time we've become great friends. We've worked together outside of the fire department and ran together, and he's become one of my best friends. And Tim, congratulations on this. It's well deserved.
And you get your knife, but I'm trusting you know how to handle it. And it matches, it's Louisville red, just letting you know. Congratulations, buddy. Enjoy. You and Sammy, y'all stay apart, please.
We live in the same county, so we can't stay too far apart.
All right. Enjoy.
Thank you. Yeah, I do have a few things to say. I'll keep it under 2 minutes, so Commissioner Adkins won't give me the 2 minutes.
Let you talk right here into that microphone.
20 years is a long time with any place. It's a physically demanding job. It's a mental job. You have to be physically fit, and you have to be a little mental to do it. So, there's been a lot of changes over the 20 years, and kind of proud to say that a lot of the changes come from me. I didn't write the SOPs. I was the reason the SOPs were written. I'm not lying. It's the truth.
That's good.
More than one. But it has been fun. I've made a lot of friends. Made a few enemies, but made a lot of friends, a lot of memories. Be here in this town. And, like Chief said, I had an injury, and I like to say that I gave my left arm to the city, but I'd give my right arm to come back. So, thank you all.
Thank you. Dustin, there you are.
Everybody's abandoning the ship now.
There's food outside.
There's
You
food
get it?
out there. There's cake.
It's none you good.
Come up here, young man.
Business owners, if that's all right, too. Is that all right?
Huh?
I invited some business owners,
Oh,
too.
good. I'll let you recognize them. Everyone, this is Dustin Duvall, who's the Executive Director at the Heart of Danville. He's here to accept a proclamation for Small Business Saturday. Whereas the City of Danville celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. According to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 28.8 million small businesses in the United States, and they represent 99.7% of all businesses with employees in the United States, and are responsible for 63% of net new jobs created over the past 20 years. Whereas small businesses employ over 49% of all businesses with employees in the United States, whereas 89% of consumers in the United States agree that small businesses contribute positively to the local community by supplying jobs and generating tax revenue, and whereas 87% of consumers in the United States agree that small businesses are critical to the overall economic health of the United States, and whereas 93% of consumers in the United States agree that it is important for people to support the small businesses that they value in the community. Whereas the City of Danville supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our neighborhoods, and whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now, therefore, Mayor G. Michael Parris and the City Commissioners of the City of Danville, on this 25th day of November 2019, do hereby proclaim Saturday, November the 30th, 2019, to be Small Business Saturday, and urge all residents of Danville and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on this day and throughout the year. There you are, sir. You want to introduce some people?
I asked some retail and restaurant owners downtown to come up and be here today, so I'm going to have them come on up and we're going to introduce them real quick. I'm going to try to get a picture. So if you're here for that, please, the last minute text. I appreciate it. Go ahead, up there, sir. So just real quick, if you don't know these lovely people, this is Morgan Bird with Gypsy Run Brewery, and then we have Nancy Davis. Nancy does a lot of things downtown. Serendipity Sisters, but she also helps out at Tuts, right? And then this is Lori Kagan-Moore. We all know her at the Dollhouse Museum, and then we have Jason Cullen back there. He's not coming up, but he's at the Hub. Nikki with the Art Center. Anybody else I'm missing here? Okay. Yeah. So again, please go shop downtown all the time, but especially on Saturday. And something I like to say also is not only do we have restaurants and retail stores and stuff downtown, but we also have experiences, which is something that the Dollhouse Museum does for us, the McDowell House, and all those other experiences that make Danville a special place. So please partake in all those. And as always, shop local, eat local, play local, eat local, whatever, drink local, whatever you want to do. All local, please. Thank you very much.
Ready for a motion?
Yes, sir, please.
That we accept the proclamation Small Business Saturday.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That motion carries. Item 6 is the Beautification Committee appointment, and that would be for Ms. Margot Goodwin. And Margot is probably known to all of us, and if you've ever seen her flowers up at the farmer's market, you know what she's capable of doing. I will entertain a motion to that recommendation.
So moved, that Margot Goodwin be appointed.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, sir. Discussion?
Good choice.
Seeing none, chair will call the question. All in favor, thank you. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 7 is the first reading of ordinance number 1942. This is an annexation on the Stanford Road in the bypass. Madam Clerk, you want to read that so that we can have a motion to open discussion?
This is the first reading of ordinance number 1942, an ordinance of the City of Danville, Kentucky, proposing to annex the unincorporated territory lying adjacent to and contiguous with the present city boundaries located along the South Danville Bypass, U.S. Highway 150, and Wilderness Road in the area between same, which property is owned by Evelyn S. Gonder, Walter Gonder, Jeffrey L. Kettles, Emma Jean Walker, Kimberly Anderson, Louis C. Brown, Eugenia Lynn Hopkins, Temple Baptist Church, Caldwell Stone Company Incorporated, and Commonwealth of Kentucky. consisting in the whole of 180.879 acres, more or less, and being more accurately described below.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I hear a motion to this first reading?
I move for approval of first reading of ordinance 1942.
Thank you, Commissioner Cottle. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Terry. We are in discussion.
As a matter of clarification, this is the city passed an intent to annex ordinance in the spring because consent could not be obtained from all of the property owners. Therefore, you published that ordinance and publish the required notifications and letters to all the property owners within the proposed annexed area, allowing them to object to same. No objections were received. So by virtue of that process and the time periods that have expired, this is the actual annexation ordinance. The prior one showed your intent to annex the ordinance without consent, and this is the actual annexation ordinance, the first reading.
Thank you for that, sir. Any further questions, comments?
I echo the thank you because I thought we'd done this before, so I appreciate it. We've had quite a discussion previously.
Anything further? Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Paris?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cottle?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Saris?
Yes.
Item 8 is the first reading of ordinance number 1943. This is the planning and zoning text amendment. Madam Clerk, would you read that, please?
This is the first reading of ordinance number 1943, an ordinance of the City of Danville, Kentucky, repealing Articles 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13, and 17 of the zoning ordinance Boyle County, the cities of Danville and Perryville, which constitutes all remaining sections of previously adopted zoning ordinance, so as to repeal it entirely and replacing said articles with revised Articles 4, 5, and 7 pertaining to zoning districts, use, regulations, and enforcement.
What?
Do I hear a motion that we accept the first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Saris. Thank you, Commissioner Terry. We are in discussion. Mr. Scott, I'm sure there's something you want to add in here.
Well, we've had prior presentations and maybe a workshop or two on this and discussions from our planning and zoning director, Steve Hunter. He is here if you want to ask him to just hit the highlights of this, but I would mention before the possibility of him doing that this does incorporate the agreements locally achieved through attorneys on the pipeline regulation issues. It also brings conformity to the sign ordinance in keeping with a Supreme Court decision a couple of years ago, and makes other modernization changes. So it is recommended for your approval, and I believe the other two cities are well on their way to approving this or a variation of this, as well as the county.
Thank you, sir. Comments, questions?
Let's call for the question.
Okay, I was going to say a little something, but
Oh, go
that's
ahead.
okay. All right.
Will you take your question back?
Yes, sir.
All right, just really quickly. There were some things that I had issue with, but they were from what we passed previously. So I think it's important for those reasons that Mr. Scott mentioned that we go ahead with this, but realizing that this is a organic document and we can go back and maybe tweak or change some things that have already been passed. So with that in mind, that's all I have to say about that.
May I suggest that you get those in front of the proper body and organization as soon as possible?
Let me also add, if I may, Mayor, that in our discussions previously, we've pointed out that we're about to embark upon a pretty aggressive downtown development master plan study, and our consultants in that process have suggested that it's likely that the planning and zoning changes would perhaps follow the completion of that study, which would reflect the emerging and expressed goals of the community members who will be involved in an in-depth way during that process, as well as City Commission. So I see it as a probability that there will be some changes to this ordinance coming about sometime next year.
Fair enough. Right, Commissioner Cottle?
Pretty good.
Now, sir, you want to call a question?
Oh.
I'll call for the question.
Thank you, sir.
Going on past that.
All in favor of the, oh, sorry.
Commissioner Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Paris?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cottle?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Saris?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes, ma'am.
City manager report.
Mr.
Floor is
Mayor,
yours.
before we go to the city manager's report,
Yes, sir.
is Donna Peak still outside? Someone ask Donna to step back in here, please. We never entertained a motion to accept Donna's letter of resignation, and it's probably improper, but I just was dying to vote no against her resignation. I wanted her to hear that, but get her back in here. She's probably going home. She knew I was going to do this, right?
I think it's retirement, not resignation,
Go
though,
on.
isn't it, Commissioner?
Retirement, right?
There
What
you
it
go.
was?
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
We'll move right.
Go on.
Are you going to vote she can't retire?
No, go on. I'm just joking.
Mr. Scott, city manager report, please.
I would mention that we, as city staff, are still working on quite a number of important projects. Those include the beginning of our downtown master plan effort, which I think we will have a meeting before Christmas in our community to begin discussions on that. I don't have a date specific. We're continuing to work with our consultants on the pay and class system that we hope to have completed certainly in January to update and review our compensation and pay plans. And so there's a lot of work still underway at the city, but I'm not prepared to get into detail on any of those. Although I would mention that we did have within the last 2 weeks, a meeting of a group of citizens concerned about safety downtown, and we're proceeding with discussing how we can improve the safety at the Main and 3rd Street intersection as well. And I know there's a lot of community discussion about that. But the one thing I really did want to highlight tonight is that we recently received unofficial notice, but it is final notice, that we're included in the top 10 list from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Awards. These are very prestigious national awards that recognize several criteria that must be met in order to receive the award. All three of those, three criteria that must be met include the compliance with the Safe Drinking Water Act, financial integrity of the project, public health benefits, and those apply to our upgrade of the water treatment plant and raw water improvement project. And there's a number of others also, but I won't go through that. We'll probably have more and maybe an official presentation from someone at the federal or state level on this in the future, but I'm advised by Earl Coffey that despite the fact that we have received numerous awards already in terms of the engineering and the improvements to our quality of water, this is really the big deal in terms of being recognized. So I just want to mention that tonight. And maybe Earl has something to add that I have glossed over or omitted.
No, thank you, Ron. But the program, to add a little bit of detail, and I was wanting to do this for Ron earlier, and the program that the recognition is awarded through is a $38 billion infrastructure program on the federal level. It funds all the utility drinking water projects that is sponsored through the EPA. That is an EPA government program. To get the award, we were submitted to Atlanta. We were first selected as the highest in the state of Kentucky by Kentucky Infrastructure Authority and the state's EPA, submitted to Atlanta, where we were filtered through all the other programs, the projects submitted through the multitude of other states. To receive the top 10 out of that laundry list is a significant endeavor. And we were acknowledged last week in Washington, D.C., and we hope that those, we are anticipating the representatives come down like Mr. Scott said.
Very good.
Anything else, sir?
Just finally, a notation. We I do request that we have an executive session tonight to discuss personnel at the conclusion of our normal business here.
All righty, thank you.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
Yeah. So it was good to hear that we had some citizens together on 3rd and Main. Concerns, anything moving on the state, can we answer to that? And any activity going on there in terms of?
I might defer, as our city engineer, John Castle, has been in communication with the state and local folks, and he might have a comment regarding progress. I think there certainly is intent to move as expressed by the state, and I think they have some preliminary ideas, but he could probably respond more specifically or additionally or confirming that.
Yeah. The meeting we had last Thursday with the county judge executive that the mayor couldn't make because he was out of town on business was pretty productive. It was like a nice, free-thinking, facilitated meeting at a university or at a large business where you were getting just ideas thrown out and taking notes of them all, and then we'd discuss it and review it later on. There were a few things that the state said that they'd be willing to do at their cost, but they were relatively quick things like doing some pavement markings, adjusting the timing, some things of that nature. Some of them they already did. They adjusted the timing already, and then they're going to be reviewing that as time goes on and continuing doing a feedback loop to check on that. And then Ron Scott recommended with the One Citizens group that we meet every month and getting some feedback from people that way, and then also us making recommendations to folks for how they can enter their feedback. So we're in the process too of looking what's the best way to contact the state. Their website's a little difficult to go through and stuff, and we'll be showing some of that stuff to the committee and being able to get that out into the public too. So that, and then some things for signage, some things for lighting, are things that we're looking at that might cost a little bit more money, but are still things we can do. But we're still in the process of looking at the different ideas and shortlisting some things to come back to y'all for funding on.
I appreciate that, John. I think the community really wanted to hear that. I know I did, that we got progress. And going to monthly meetings means that we're not just talking about it and forgetting about it. So I appreciate hearing that a lot. I mean, we've got a real concern there, and we all know that. I have a couple more questions, but I'm going to take this opportunity, and Ms. Kirchner set it up for me, to publicly thank you for finishing the sidewalks on the 2nd Street Bridge. It looks very good, and it connects the trail very nicely. And if you haven't gotten a lot of comments, we up here have on residents that live down there, that it's really been a good thing for us to pay attention to that park again. So I appreciate that a lot. So, Mr. Scott, do you know anything about any progress on replacing Donna, Human Resources Manager?
Yes, we have a job announcement advertised locally. It's on our webpage as of at least today, if not earlier. It also is being communicated throughout the state and on various websites by our same firm that is recruiting for the city manager. Both of those individuals served previously as human resources directors. They have a good knowledge of what's required, and that's the most expedient way of locating and potentially getting applicants from qualified people. And
if it's okay with you, Mayor, I just have one final thing, and I'll get out of the way. But thank you for that answer. I have a request that the agenda for next meeting includes us looking at the wayfinding signage. We talked about it before, bringing it as an agenda item. In terms of what signs are placed where, just I think there's 3 or 4 locations. JH and I have talked about it. Am I correct on that? Okay, thank you. If we can make that an agenda item next meeting, I'd appreciate it.
We certainly will try to do that, and I think we can. I think it would be useful for the commission and the public just to review the findings of our wayfinding study some time ago, because I think all of those locations were identified and recommended and essentially adopted by the city commission, with caveat that you would like to review individual listings on each sign as the encroachment permits might be submitted, or in the process at least of approving those locations. So we can do that, I think, certainly at the next meeting.
Commissioner Siri, I requested a meeting about wayfinding for tomorrow, the 26th of November, as we do our noon meeting, but due to the fact that one commissioner could not be present, I thought Mr. Scott had replied that we were going to put it on the agenda for the 5th of December meeting, which is the date we have city manager interviews, but that was just going to be, so I think it was going to be on the 5th of December at a PM, that part of that special call meeting agenda. And then for clarification, we've never advocated changing the location of any signs. We just wanted to give you all some input about what was going to be on the signs, especially the extreme areas of our city where the signs were going to start, and that we wanted to have more input about what was going to be recognized on the way into Danville. So it's really a very simple process. I think we've identified about 4 things, and if the majority of the commissioners would approve of those 4 things, we can move this thing on. It's my understanding that if you submit the easements for these signs and their locations, and that process also will include what's going to be on the signs. So we don't want to submit something and then get it approved and then not be satisfied with whether it says welcome to Danville or welcome to JH's house or wherever. But we want to have some input into those types of things. And it's just some real short, simple tweaking of the process. So let's hopefully get that done as soon as possible, and Mr. John can get about the business of putting those things out there and get this. We have $90,000 in the budget. Over a 2-year period, we've not spent a dime on this, so let's get it moving. It will be our pleasure.
Can we do December the 5th?
No, sir, that would not work. Because of a full agenda day, we can do December the 9th, though.
Well, you keep putting it off, and it's a full agenda. We're just going to do 4 interviews on the
But it's
the
all
5th.
day.
No, that's, yeah.
No, it's not.
That's a full day.
The
from
schedule.
12:30 on.
The schedule is a luncheon from about 12 to about 1, and then individual interviews of an hour.
Well, that's why I suggested the 24th tomorrow, when we have 1 item, which we're taking about 5 minutes, and this could have been done tomorrow, but it's not been advertised on the agenda for tomorrow.
Because not all commissioners could be here, as I understood it, for the duration required for that discussion.
Well, I don't know who knows what the duration is going to take, but 4 out of 5 of us, I thought, said we could be here, so we just need to get this item off our plate and get it moving. So if not the 5th, then the 9th, but the 9th is a regular 5:30 meeting, so I suggest if it's going to be moved until the 9th, that we do it before the regular 5:30 meeting. So it'll be an item that if people show up to listen to, it'll be first, and it'll be real short and sweet, and we can get this thing moving.
I think we can do that. We could start at 4 o'clock
Okay.
or some period of time there.
Good deal.
And are we still in commissioner comments?
We haven't even gotten there yet, but
Oh.
may as well.
I thought it was
Wait.
Ricky to do it.
Nice transition.
We have here the public also.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
Let's hold off on comments. Can we hold
Okay,
off?
all right.
Thank you. Let's move first into hear the public. This is the public's opportunity to talk about anything not on tonight's agenda. Mr. Graham? Don't worry, I got one.
My name is Randy Gipp Graham, and I want to thank you for allowing the public to have this time. Now, we're told it's 3 minutes, but I'd like to have the rules clarified because last time I spoke, I was cut off 25 seconds remaining in my time, verified
you get
by
2
the
minutes.
video on the city webpage. And then I saw where others were allowed to go substantially beyond 3 minutes. So I just hope we're all playing by the same rules because we're taught that in life growing up. And although as we get older, we realize that life's not always played by those rules. Sometimes I think it's always a worthy goal, but if not, then I think the Danville Admirals and Bull County Rebels need to hire the timekeeper in order to have close games, you know. But a lot's been reported on regarding the city and county in the last couple months, which seems to have been helped by the promotion of a false narrative. And during this time, it seems some things shared in executive session have conveniently found its way in the newspapers to the detriment of community. And this is concerning because it seems as elected officials, you have to be comfortable sharing confidential issues amongst each other without the risk of information leaking. Besides, it's against the law done by participants in the meeting. So I hope that's not where it's coming from and that this can be put behind us. because the newspaper has shown it's not afraid to push a false narrative, evident by an interview with our mayor, when in an opening paragraph the reporter wrote, and I quote, "The mayor was involved in what turned out to be a sexual harassment incident with the female director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau." Well, that just wasn't true, supported by diversity sensitivity training, showing it was actually inappropriate behavior. So why does the paper and the select few push this false narrative? And why, as a commission and community, we need to be careful? Now, I feel compelled to share, before I go back to my seat, that on September the 23rd, after sharing my information previously reported on and substantiated through open records, the tourism director, while the commission meeting was still going on, came back to me in an obviously hostile demeanor and was verbally berating, as I shared in email to both you and fiscal court, which I thought was not only unprofessional for a representative of this community, but also of roles reversed, such would have been described as harassment. No means no, and that's all no means, in my opinion. And although I did not then, nor do I now, feel physically threatened, I was grateful a police officer was there to end the debacle. And I ask for you, the commission and law enforcement, to make sure not such a ridiculous display happens again, because hopefully we're better than this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Ms. Brown.
I'm Wilma Brown. There was an article in the paper tonight, this afternoon, and it read, Danville is spending $72,000 for 2 economic development specialists to figure out just what the community needs to develop a plan for economic development. Over the next 6 months, the consultants will meet with community leaders, study the community, and come up with a plan for marketing everything from industry to tourist attractions. That was not a news article. That was in the retro section from 1994. So in 1994...
Now, when you sit, everybody's up here whirling around going, what?
I know.
Don't do this,
I said it. And so in 1994, we were doing exactly what we're doing in 2019. There was also, I remember this because I had personal things going on in 1994. A couple of other things happened downtown. That's the year the Hub department store closed. It is also the year that men from the city came with chainsaws and cut down every single shade tree on Main Street and planted ginkgo trees. So I just find it's interesting that we just keep going around in circles. The Hub department store has still not been fully developed. We're trying to figure out what to do with that. We also have now spent $75,000 this time for someone to tell us what to do with economic development. And I'm pretty sure any day now, men with chainsaws will come downtown and cut down every shade tree on Main Street.
Anyone else?
You just have to love her, don't you?
Now we will move into commissioner comments. Mr. Atkins?
You gonna follow that?
No, I've always been trained and taught not to follow when we're around. All right?
Commissioner Terry? I want to thank John Castle for his reports that he provides with photos. That's appreciated. Thank you, John.
Can't believe you all are not announcing the Christmas parade that's just around the corner before we meet again.
We knew you were going to do it. We're trying to give it to you. Do we have to?
Well, there it is.
You on this?
I believe that's December 7th, isn't it, Dustin? Okay, so it'll be a big time. I think you're going to see some special people there, either with Santa or in the front. Is that what I've heard? Maybe some young lady with blonde hair that just retired from here. Is that something that we might have heard? No, we'll see. Okay.
Talk to Dustin.
You need to come and find out. So. Also, again, I'm going to say thank you to Miss Kirchner for setting this up, but the trail that now is being completed does connect two parks, Smith Park and Henson Park. It's a pond, but certainly there's a park there that this city has budgeted money for playgrounds. So I am envious of what Louisville's doing. And all of a sudden it was like, hey, we're connecting 2 parks. Hey, we're coming along. So I think it's really positive that we're moving in that direction.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I want to raise a question to the commission about another date I'd like to see us set, and that date is Monday, the 23rd of December. It's the 4th Monday in the month of December, and normally we don't have a second meeting in December, but due to the circumstances beyond the commission's control, I'd like to recommend a day that we consider having that second meeting the 23rd of December at 5:30 here at City Hall.
The purpose of which is?
Well, we have lots of resignations. We're going to have some new hires. We're going to be in the process of still trying to finalize plans for a new city manager. And I just think it's really important that we not go from the 9th of December to the second Monday in January without the citizens having a chance to see the city commission in operation.
Which raises a point in my mind. We're going to meet these candidates personally on the 5th. I would like to think that we could come to some conclusion on the 6th. I'm not trying to rush it, but at the same time, you forget things pretty quickly. And I think if we're going to make a decision, we need to make it.
So, Mr. Atkins, are you requesting to have the meeting on the 23rd, or
Yes,
are you requesting to move it?
Now, I'm requesting to have the meeting on the 23rd, or we could do it on the 16th. I think it's just important that we have 2 meetings in December in lieu of all the things that are being changed in our community that are important to the city.
If I may, the 23rd is a regularly scheduled meeting unless
sir.
canceled.
Yes, sir.
So that has been, while that's been the tradition of the commission, it doesn't have to be.
Yes.
So there's, without action at your next meeting, the meeting on the 23rd shall be had.
Yeah.
Unless you decide to meet some other time, which would make it a special called meeting if you want to cancel the second meeting in December. So I don't know. I mean, there's no recommendation before you tonight to cancel that second meeting. We typically address that request the first meeting in December.
Yeah, and my rationale was just to be considerate of my fellow commissioners, give them more time to think about whether or not we should do this. Don't necessarily need a decision tonight, but a lot of things coming up.
And the only other matter I wish to raise with you is that in the event you have your interviews on December the 5th, if you come to some type of idea about what offer to make or who to offer or things of that nature, those are still wholly private conversations at that point. And once you make that decision to make an offer, then there would have to be negotiation on the part of staff to develop a finalized contract for your review. So what I'm saying is it wouldn't be attainable on the 6th to have a meeting to approve a contract that would not allow us appropriate time to negotiate.
And you're basically agreeing with Commissioner Atkins, and we may need a second meeting in December.
Perhaps it's not the 23rd, but if there's some other meeting, after the 5th,
I understand.
possibly it's your first meeting in December, you may be able to approve a contract, depending on how those negotiations go. But I wouldn't recommend scheduling a meeting on the 6th, as I don't think that'd give us enough time to conduct those negotiations.
So we'll decide about the second meeting in December at the first meeting in December. Is that kind of, or another date?
Possible, right? Because it's conceivable that if you make an offer on the 5th and allow us to negotiate the next few days, it's possible at least in theory, that we could have a contract for you at your first meeting in December. And if not, we'd have an idea of when we may be able to.
Commissioner Atkins, would you be willing to do December the 16th?
Oh, I'm open. I just wanted to have a dialogue, that we have thoughts about a second meeting in December.
that okay?
And I'm like
Okay.
Stephen, I just picked the 23rd because that's the regular scheduled date, unless we decide that.
Well, the
something
16th
else.
is going to be 2 meetings right in a row,
Yeah,
a week.
2 Mondays in a row, yeah.
Yeah, a week apart.
Yeah.
Not
election,
I'm good
yeah.
with keeping the 23rd right now
Yeah.
until we maybe have a better idea on the 5th, 6th, or the 9th.
I think you'll have a better idea after you meet on the 5th.
Yeah.
And can judge the interest of any candidate that you want to, and that we'll see how the negotiations go at that point. And I think staff will be able to give you a recommendation on when that contract could be presented to you.
Yeah.
So if we have had discussion and probably in our regular meeting on the 9th, we would go into executive session and discuss that with you. And then if we are ready to take action, we can take action that night, or will it be a different?
It depends on the speed of the negotiation.
Yeah, you get to
And the
take
candidate.
action after they get the negotiation complete.
Okay, that was my question. So we may need another special meeting
Perhaps.
later that week or the 16th anyway.
Right.
And please don't misunderstand my request. It's not just focused on the hiring of the next city manager. It's focused on just taking care of some perceived very important business in the month of December.
Mm-hmm. Right. I agree. There are a lot of things that
Yes.
we typically don't have going on this time of year, and to go a whole month without any sort of communication or meeting is probably a little too long, and I think we should keep the 23rd right now and see how it goes after the 5th and 6th.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Commissioner Cottle, comments?
Nope,
You got any?
sounds good to me.
Rick? We'll move right on then to payment of the bills. Item 10, Chair will entertain a motion for the acceptance of the bills as presented.
So move.
Thank you,
Second.
sir. Thank you, sir. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Resolution number 2019-11-25-01. This is the Henson Trail Change Order Number 1. Mr. Coffey.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. When we have gone through the job and we identified some extra brush and tree removal through the project that accounted to about $2,100 worth of work. We also added 2 culverts on the trail, and then additionally some Class 2 channel liner to support those culverts down in a low area, subject to higher water. The total of that is $3,500 added to the total cost of $143,687.50, brings the total project cost to $147,187.50. Staff recommends accepting the change order as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to accept resolution number 2019-11-2501.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Discussion?
Is that something, I mean, we just couldn't tell that until we got into it. Is that one of those deals?
Some of it where the brush is hanging out over the trail area. It's pretty thick in some places. The look grew from the time the plans were drawn to the time we were finally able to proceed. Other was probably the landowner wanted the trail to be straight too. That helps a little bit when we get a little clarity in those requests.
Any further comments or questions? Chair will call the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 12 is Resolution 2019-11-25-02. This is in reference to the Cunningham Way Connector Road. Councilor Dexter.
Thank you, Mayor. If you'll remember, this body approved a memorandum of agreement with the Boyle County Board of Education earlier this spring that concerned a roadway to be connected from the roundabout from the north bypass on the old fairgrounds property the city acquired at the end of last year, going to Cunningham Way, as that was a roadway that was in the city's master plan for development. However, the school district had a need for that to be developed sooner than was in the city's master plan. So they requested that upon the grant of a small amount of real estate, that they themselves would construct the roadway and connect it to Cunningham Way, and then pull their driveways off of it to the new middle school, which is where they really need an entrance to help with traffic flow, which is obviously a large cost savings to the city of Danville without having to construct the entire roadway. The Board of Education requested bids be provided for the construction of that connector road, and that low bid was accepted at its last meeting earlier this week for the sum of $471,000. That work to be performed by Earthworks LLC. The city requested that 2 alternates to the bid be presented in that bid process. The first of which, as described by a memorandum by Earl Coffey, involved a relocation of a water line, as well as providing electrical facilities to the city's side of the road that would, in effect, electrify the recently acquired property for development in conjunction with whatever city's master park plan would determine. And the second alternate was to provide underground utilities for streetlights along the connector road, again, on the city's side of the roadway. Those prices came in at $83,700 for alternate 1 and $31,000 for alternate 2 for the streetlights. And upon review, city staff recommends approval of the acceptance of alternate bids 1 and 2, which the city will not perform the work or bid the work, but will simply reimburse the school district for those sums upon authorization to proceed.
I'll offer a motion to approve Resolution 2019-11-2502 as presented, $114,700 for bids alternate 1 and 2 as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Sears. Discussion.
I think it was Councilor Dexter described it very well, but also some of the dialogue you sent us was this is something that's going to benefit us as we expand Millennium Park as well, to have those utilities in, and the work being done now, as per usual, while construction people on site will save us money ultimately. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's correct. It would be hard to make the decision you couldn't make the improvements that are necessary after the road is completed without great expense.
Yeah.
This would certainly be the most cost-efficient manner to proceed.
Any further questions? Yes, sir.
Well, I don't really have a question, but I support this, but I do have a citizen's concern that I wanted to share with you all, and that is that in spending time in Millennium Park, the entranceway to this road on the Cunningham Way is extremely close to the main entranceway to Millennium Park. There have been some citizens who've raised questions about why is it so close to the entranceway to Millennium Park.
That'd have to be an engineering question, part of which is what land the city owns, quite frankly.
Well, this is coming from the Boyle County Middle School property onto Cunningham Way. Is really not.
Well, in the manner in which where they own. I'm sorry, I didn't speak that correctly. They're building a roadway on land they own.
I understand.
And then we'll dedicate it to the city for usage by everyone in the community.
Yes.
So it has to initially be constructed on that land in order to.
I don't have any issues with that.
Yeah.
The question raised is that it's awful close to the entranceway to Millennium Park, and I'm just FYI to our staff that that's a concern that I've received, and so.
Correct. That one, that's most direct route, but 2, we really didn't want a roadway splitting inside of campus between two schools. So for example, if you move the roadway in another alternative direction, students in the morning time particularly, you're going to be crossing crossing that road. Now, school can close gates, do what they need to do inside of campus to manipulate traffic in an effective way. And then we can maintain this road as open, free, and clear during that school day. They can shut their gates, do what they want to do after hours. This road can be open, and we don't have miscellaneous traffic crossing through campus.
Again, if you go out and take a look at it, and you drive into Millennium Park or out of Millennium Park when school's getting started or school's closing, they're going to have, they're really close. I've looked at it a couple of times, but I just want to relay the message to you, just brought to my attention just this weekend. It's got to be done. I understand that, man. It's close. You've been out there, I know.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, Chair, call a question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Item carries. Item 13 is Resolution 2019-11-25-03. This is a participation agreement concerning parks and recreation. Mr. Dexter.
Thank you, Mayor. I will say it's with excitement that we are presenting to you tonight for a first review of the Danville-Bull County Parks and Recreation Joint Participation Agreement. I can say in preface that there has been a lot of collaboration in the preparation and the document before you, not only with staff at City Hall, but with the direct involvement of the Parks and Recreation Director, John Bell, who's lent his expertise and professionalism to the development of this document at every stage of it, from format to actual writing in concert with me, and to a review of the final document with the revisions implemented. And that's significant for a couple of reasons, not only to rely on his expertise of the Parks and Rec business, so to speak, but also because of his interaction with magistrates on the fiscal court and a unique understanding of the pulse of that body that he possesses simply by working with them closely, and to include terms that would be advantageous to them, meaning the court as a whole, and also in preparing a document that is hopefully one that shows the cooperation and dialogue that we achieve to have in continuing the joint effort to promote parks and recreation in this community. With that being said, the document is before you. The first couple of pages simply promote the desire of the city and the county to have a cooperative effort and to continue to enhance the community through parks and recreation. The first section talks about the purpose, and that is to provide, again, a uniform parks and recreation service to all residents within Boyle County at a uniform price upon a financial contribution by the county in return for it. There are guiding principles that are there that realize there are going to be cost efficiencies in proceeding in the manner in which we are. And also hoping to achieve superior communication in this new format. Again, I want to reiterate that this is a very similar format that we implemented with the 911 service agreement, and that has gone off, that has actually improved communication, improved trust and stability in a delivery of an essential service. And again, that was our guiding principle in the development of this document. The scope of the services, again, show where the city will provide all the personnel, programming, and maintenance necessary to operate parks and recreations for all residents of Boyle County under this agreement, to begin January 1. And the term of the agreement would be a 10-year term. However, we provide provisions for either governmental agency to, if for some reason they don't want to participate, the court could give notice to the city. We ask for 180 days, which is the same language that we mirrored from the 911 agreement. For instance, if the county didn't want to participate or they want to participate at a different level the following year, notice could be provided under the document. Section 6 talks about the city will perform all of the Parks and Recreation services for the county upon their contribution of an annual sum of $325,000 adjusted annually for cost of living, which I'm told is the current level of funding that the court has for Parks and Recreation at this time. It also provides for quarterly payments of that sum, of those sums, as the county does now. That was done with the design to be sensitive to the income stream in their budget, which I know had been previously negotiated by the court with the old Parks and Rec Joint Board. It also ensures that annual budget information will be delivered, and information will be delivered to the court by providing a general ledger to them on an at least quarterly basis, so there'll be a full transparency of financial undertakings that are going on through the department. It's key here in Section 8, I think we need to highlight for you and the court and the community that all fees associated with the current facility use and current programming will maintain a consistent fee structure for all Bull County residents regardless of their residency location. So it means citizens of Junction City, Parksville, wherever you may be, will pay the same cost or programming fees as anyone who lives within the municipal district of the city of Danville. We have a section dealing with equipment that is essentially, again, the same language we had under 911. And we talk about the administration of the department, how the city, while it handles hiring for the department, agrees to provide appropriate notice to the fiscal court in the event of the hiring of a director, again, to provide them shared understanding of what's being transmitted in the department on current time. Much like what happens, let's use the most recent situation where the court hired a new solid waste coordinator, and they came formally, presented that individual to you. Again, you contribute significantly to that budget. The county would certainly contribute significantly to a Parks and Recreation system. And again, it shows the professionalism that will be expected in the exchange of communication ideas between the bodies. We went to great lengths to describe the responsibilities of the department, to provide assurances to the court and to you and the community of what types of services would be delivered for all involved. We also reiterated the advisory committee roles and responsibilities, and further communicated that 3 of the residents on the committee would be nominated by the judge executive to this body for appointment, and 3 would be nominated by the mayor and sent to this body for appointment, with 1 joint appointment to be nominated for consideration. We also had the judge executive and city manager as ex officio members of the committee, and again, reference the further, I guess, nuts and bolts of that committee that we previously passed in our ordinance creating the department. I would say that the rest of the document, meaning the last 2 or 3 pages, are the typical standard legal terms, which in John Bell's words, not mine, said he didn't understand. He knows they need to be there. Looks good to him. It's things like indemnification, force majeure, that if we have additional agreements between the parties, we will reduce them to writing. defines default, warranties, how we're going to, if there are any disputes under the document, it says that we're promising to work together to determine if there are any breaches, and we're going to attempt to resolve them between us. We show where notices should be sent, things of that nature. This is the entire agreement between the parties. I will say that it has been reviewed substantially by staff, recommended for approval. And again, John Bell's work in the document can't be understated. And so the professional knowledge that he brought to it, much of which is his, not mine. And I think upon your review of this document tonight, if it is positive, it would be the goal of staff to present that to the magistrates individually or collectively, even tonight, via email. I know they have a meeting tomorrow, and it wouldn't get to them soon enough to consider, but we want to make sure that there's not a lapse in the communication of this document to the court members themselves. Of course, we'll provide it to the judge and the city, or the county attorney rather, for consideration. But it's our hope that the document is received with the sense that the city desires cooperative achievement of a common goal. That was the way it was, the intention of the drafting was done, hopefully in an articulate manner to achieve that goal. However, if there are revisions that the court requires for passage, we would encourage them to make them. And we would also encourage them to act promptly upon the document so we can have resolution of it, take a deep breath, and move forward with a new path that I think puts us on the same path that we had with solid waste, 911, and emergency management. It's in a proven format that we know works. Communication is better when our roles and responsibilities are reduced to a writing like they are before you tonight.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution 2019-11-2503.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Cottle. We're in discussion.
Of course.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. You know, we've worked on this for a long time, and I will compliment Attorney Dexter and John Bell for the hard work you did. It looked really good. I want to go over a few key points for the community's pleasure, and we do have one magistrate here, and they'll get a chance to read it, but I thought they're positive ones, and I want to just kind of highlight them. Number one, all throughout the document, Danville Boyle County Parks and Rec is the name. It's not Danville City Parks and Rec. It's Danville Boyle County Parks and Rec, and that's very strong for me. Couple of things here I want to go over, and there's a couple of words in here that maybe if they're errors you can correct it, or maybe it's just me not understanding legal talk. But anyway, whereas a single department reduces overhead, eliminates duplication of effort, and with increases coordination of service delivery to the public by merging resources and providing a single location for accessing park and recreation services. The reason I wanted to highlight that is over the years, that has been one of the big things that we're moving in this direction, is citizens not knowing who to talk to about certain parks. And so that's addressed here, and I think it's very important to highlight. Is that word with, is that correct?
I'm sorry, can you point to me where you are in the document?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's page 2 of the resolution. Third whereas from the bottom.
They should be increased instead of increases. With increased coordination of service delivery.
Just as, and with increases, I don't know.
And with increased.
Yeah.
It would allow us to increase our service.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, increasing. Well, anyway. Did you find it?
I'm sorry, I'm not, but I'll continue to look while you talk.
Okay. So it's a single department. So right after it is the next one down. Whereas the parties agree that there must be a mutual understanding of the terms of this agreement.
That should be increased.
Okay. Well, I'll let you make that correction. It just didn't work for me.
Thank you.
Whereas the parties agree that there must be a mutual understanding of the terms of this agreement, respect for each public agency staff and elected officials' integrity, and a sense of loyalty and to the agreement on the basic objective of serving the community and its visitors. Again, I think a very strong point where we desire to work together, and that's, of course, always been there. It's just a matter of trying to get here, but that point is in writing.
Yes.
And again, I got a question mark after loyalty. I'm not sure how that works, but that's up to you.
The "and" should be stricken.
Okay. Okay. And I just I'm not trying to jump on you for grammar. Those are just points that happened.
No, those are good edits. Thank you.
Yeah. So going back into the document, you have, I'm sorry?
Call his attention to the last paragraph on page 1 as well. This should be edited. And will be supplied with a copy.
I see it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just something you know as well.
Much highlighted things. I'm not going to take a lot of time, but I just think there's some of these things are important. Question mark on this one, and you actually referred to it under scope of services. Will begin January 1st, 2020, regardless of the date of its actual execution by both parties. Kind of confuses me.
That's a standard contractual term that we put in our documents because you have to have an effective date and there's a signing date, and those dates always don't correspond.
Okay.
Or don't always correspond. So that's just that's typical language that we put in a document like this.
Okay. Again, this is well done, but I just want to point out some things. And under services, costs, and budgets, you mentioned that already, what we'd hope the county will provide for Parks and Rec, but there was another important line in here, and that's programming throughout the entire county. I think there was a hang-up there. I know that Kevin and I had that and trying to negotiate that everything would be a city park, and that's not the vision of that Parks and Rec director or his board. And so I'm glad that you pointed that out, that programming of the parks.
The goal is to program every inch of programmable space, regardless of ownership.
Yes.
Yeah, but it says it once again then later, providing services for the management of county-owned parks. So, I mean.
Correct.
Yeah, it's all there. And we have a nice little park in Junction City, et cetera, but I'm not going to go into all that. I just wanted to, as I read through here, I thought there were some strong points that we've talked about for way too many days now, and it's good to see them in writing, and hopefully we can come to a good agreement with fiscal court.
Stephen, I have a question on page 6, bottom of the page. Item 1, 3 shall be residents of Boyle County as nominated by the judge. We're all residents of Boyle County.
That's correct.
So,
but the goal was to say, we wanted to provide reassurances to the court that you did not have to be a resident of the city of Danville to participate on the advisory committee. So it's quite feasible that, I mean, we have members that are outside, that don't live in the city limits now that serve on various committees at the city. But this formalizes it that basically, regardless of where you live, the court, through the nomination of the judge executive, can select whoever they may want to serve, whether they're a resident of the city of Danville or not.
just wanted clarification on that.
Sure.
Thank you.
And Stephen, I'd like to call to everyone's attention page 5 of 12, number 8, fee structure. And for non-Boyle County residents for programming and facility use at a rate of 125% of the city of Danville and Boyle County resident fee structure. I think that's really neat to highlight that too.
Yes, so again, this was based on the knowledge of your parks director, is that he said that would be a typical term. So Danville residents and Boyle County residents would have one common basketball registration fee, for instance. However, if you're from Mercer County or Washington County or wherever, then there would be, you know, a different fee structure for those individuals.
Mr. Bell, is there anything you'd like to comment on, add, or detract, or not comment at all? You want to take the microphone?
John, yeah, you'll have
through working through this. I appreciate City Attorney welcoming me to provide some language, some information, some past experiences, I guess, into the document. I support about 95% of the way it's written right now. I do feel this is a document that can work with the county through discussions I've had with magistrates. I hope to continue to have those discussions as we move forward to try and get this adopted by both agencies.
Great.
Are you going to
Question directed
continue
to
to
me.
work on the other 5% with council?
It'll be a council decision.
No, with council. Stephen.
Council, the council knows my opinion and the one item that is not of my approval.
Anytime we prepare documents and that are before you, they are a conglomeration of the opinions and ultimately the recommendations that come from collective advisement.
Sure.
So no document that we prepare may not contain 100% of our personal preferences. What I try to do legally is to craft a document that addresses as many concerns as possible. And in my multiple meetings with Mr. Bell, and I think we addressed, like we said, probably if he had 20 comments, we probably addressed 19 of those 20.
Absolutely agree.
So.
Have you or you had shared any of this with county attorney?
Have not.
No, and again, in our normal chain of command, it's inappropriate for us to do that before you take a look at it and give guidance and instruction, frankly, to do so.
I was asking mostly to see if you had any input or conversation leading to input.
No, I hadn't yet on that matter. After tonight, I plan to. Again, it's one of the unique roles of having the director involved in the process. I don't know that there's anyone who has more of his finger on the pulse of that body on this issue than John Bell.
Yeah. I'd like to call for the question on the motion on the floor.
Question's been called. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
And thanks
Mr.
for
Dexter, excuse me, I'm sorry.
I just want to thank you for some good work.
Yeah.
I just had a good time reading
And John,
this.
thank you.
Yes.
I'd like to maybe suggest to you, if possible, that you get up with county attorney as early as possible tomorrow morning, because I'm sure that the magistrates will have some questions.
I plan to do that. I will call him actually when we leave the meeting tonight. And if it would be of benefit, I would like to provide Magistrate Cullen with a copy tonight. Since he's here, he can have mine from my packet simply to take with him for an initial review.
Works for me.
Yep, fine with us.
Do you hear a motion, we move into executive session?
So moved.
You got to read.
I got a
You
second
gotta
over
say
here.
it.
He's got it first, I'm second.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Denise.
Got to read
You got
something.
it?
Oh, am I going to do it?
Oh, you all got it.
I will move that we go into executive session to discuss personnel matters pursuant to KRS 618101F.
Second.
And may I clarify for the record, please, Mayor, that the executive session is for a personnel matter regarding potential hires within Public Works and the 911 call center, and has no applicability to ongoing investigation of past grievances that have been filed. I think it's important to state that for the record. Those are not under your consideration tonight for the executive session.
Very good. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor of the motion?
Question?
Yes, sir.
Am I going to be allowed to give an update during the executive session?
Not unless it pertains to the potential hire of an individual in the Public Works Department or the 911 Communication Center.
We've never narrowed it down that thin before.
Say what?
We've never narrowed it down that thin before, but.
Well, yeah, I was advised to give a an update, but
Are you asking that we add that? Is it okay to add that? Is that your question?
I think it's important for the community and for the protection of this body that due to an ongoing investigation of grievances that have been filed and are under investigation, that they not be discussed or communicated by the commission for which they will ultimately come before.
what about can we add the city manager's search to the call for executive session tonight?
Only if it pertains to the potential hiring of an individual.
Or the process thereof?
If it deals with the appointment of an individual is the way the exception reads. So unless you are looking at interview, photo sessions, or videos, or having discussion pertaining to the potential hiring of one of the candidates before you, it would not be appropriate.
Would it be well, you're going to really push me out there, aren't you?
It's not by design. It's my role here to
I know, I
protect what's
understand.
about to happen.
And what I'm trying to get done is not by this, well, it is by design. I'm sorry, it is, yeah. I'm going to leave it alone because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I'll leave it alone.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor of moving into executive session, say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign.
I'm opposed.
Chair will entertain a motion. We move back into regular session.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We're in regular session. Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir. Would like to recommend that Calvin Burchett be hired to the position of Maintenance Worker 1 in the Public Works Department with the usual probationary measures.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Carry on.
Yes, sir. The second personnel action would be to recommend that Emily Crystal Francis Blackburn, a current employee of the 911 Center, be promoted to the senior telecommunication position.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. With no further business, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Everybody have a good, safe holiday.